One of the core and central ideas in Gurdjieff's work, or the fourth way, is that of self-remembering. You can think about it as the next step on from self-observation, which Gurdjieff has been talking about in Search of the Miraculous up to chapter 7. And without self-remembering, we're going through life in sleep. We need to make efforts towards self-remembering when we do our self-observations, and we'll cover all of this in this video. And we find Gurdjieff speaking about self-remembering in many places within In Search of the Miraculous, but nowhere more clearly do we find it than in the start of chapter 7, which is where I'm going to share some quotes with you from that part of the book. So let's get right into it. This is what Gurdjieff asks his students or followers or pupils, whatever you'd like to call them, to begin the chapter. On one occasion at the beginning of a meeting, G put a question to which all those present had to answer in turn. The question was, what is the most important thing that we notice during self-observation? And if you're interested, you can find in chapter 7, there's a link in the description to the video of me reading chapter 7. Everyone goes through what they most experience, what they notice most during self-observation, and everyone shares their 2 pennies worth. And it's clear that Gurdjieff has been instructing his students to practice self-observation as much as they can. Throughout the day, it's an exercise to help with awakening, to help wake up. And so all of Gurdjieff's followers would have been practicing this for many weeks and months. And then he asked them this question: what do you notice most during self-observation? And yeah, up until now, Gurdjieff has emphasized again and again and again that we are asleep, we are unconscious, we are machines, automatons. And so now we learn very clearly our position and how we can stop being a machine. And after everyone responds with what they notice most during self-observation, Gurdjieff has this to say to them. Not one of you has noticed the most important thing that I've pointed out to you, he said. That is to say, not one of you has noticed that you do not remember yourselves. You do not feel yourselves. You are not conscious of yourselves. With you, it observes just as it speaks. It thinks, it laughs. You do not feel. I observe, I notice, I see. Everything still is noticed, is seen. In order really to observe oneself, one must first of all remember oneself. Try to remember yourselves when you observe yourselves, and later on tell me the results. Only those results will have any value that are accompanied by self-remembering. Otherwise, you yourselves do not exist in your observations, in which case, what are all your observations worth? In that passage, Gurdjieff is pointing out that even when people perform their self-observation, they do it mechanically. It's a mechanical form of self-observation. Gurdjieff has told them that they should try and observe themselves, and then they're doing that, but it's still automatically. There's still no self-remembering. They're not aware of themselves. They don't have, I think there's a term in one of the books I remember, constation, like two-way awareness. And I'm going to share in a moment Ouspensky's interpretation of this, and he shares a very helpful diagram. But ultimately, we need to remember ourselves. In the Advaita Hare Krishna tradition, it would be the soul. The soul is observing the personality, the person doing what's going on. So there's this separation. In Buddhism, it could be classed as the observer and the observed. So in all of these traditions, there's a syncretic thread that runs through them all, where they all have some sort of idea of this. But Gurdjieff explicitly says we have to remember ourselves. We have to sort of awaken the soul within us in order to, live more fully and to wake up more fully in fits and starts to begin with, because he said over and over again in the first 7 chapters and now 8 chapters on the channel, we do not remember ourselves. We are asleep. We are machines. And so to begin with, that's what we need to realize first, that we don't remember ourselves. And then in moments throughout the day, with strong efforts and intention, we can begin to remember ourselves. So this is what Ouspensky says about his experiences with self-remembering. And there's a very helpful diagram to lay that out, a sort of visual diagrammatic representation of self-remembering. The key to self-remembering is the division of attention. When we observe something or someone, our attention is usually directed entirely towards the observed phenomenon, I and the observed phenomenon. However, self-remembering requires us to split our attention between the observed phenomena and ourselves, I and the observed phenomenon. This dual focus enables us to be aware of both the external world and our own internal state, without compromising the quality of our attention on either. As simple as it may sound, this dual attention and splitting of attention, having half of the attention on the world or on our internal experiences and half on ourselves, on the I, the presence within us, it sounds simple, but with a little bit of experimentation and attempts, you'll realize that we don't do it. And that's much of what we find in this first part of In Search of the Miraculous, this duality, this two-way, our potentiality ultimately, the fact that we are asleep, we are machines, but at any moment we can awaken and we can wake up. And Gurdjieff would argue, and the Neoplatonics and the Hare Krishnas, the Bhagavad Gita followers would say that this powerful experience of self-remembering is available to us at any moment, at all times. It's just we need to find some space, some attitude within ourselves in order to connect with or allow that to come in. And so there's many ways we can practice doing it. Ultimately, we must set an intention in the morning and try to have an experience of self-remembering as early in the day as we can, but then with every interaction, with every walk to and from, with every bit of food that we, every drink that we take, we can have the intention to try and remember ourselves. And what's just as helpful if we don't remember ourselves is to realize after the fact that I've had that meal, I've had that drink, I just walked to the shops and I didn't remember myself. I was completely asleep. And over again, we build up and develop these experiences, these impressions, and they go to help us, to realize our position. And by realizing our position, we can increase our efforts and our intention and hope further to remember ourselves. And there's many ways we can do this in our own lives. This can be done during any activity, whether it's a conversation, a task, or simply being alone with your thoughts. As you progress, you'll notice an increased level of self-awareness and a better understanding of your connection to the world around you. By continued efforts of self-remembering, self-observation, and of course the reading and studying of the Gurdjieff and Ouspensky texts, in my opinion, all of these go to help us raise awareness and to wake up ultimately. In the beginning, we're fast asleep, and then over time with experience and study and conversation and watching videos like this, we can realize our position and begin to catch glimpses of self-remembering, of higher states of awareness. And in the next video, I think I'm going to talk about this, what Gurdjieff says, the 4 levels of consciousness. I'll speak about that so that we can see where we are and hopefully come to realize our position. But self-remembering, like I said at the beginning of the video, is among, for me, the most important principles in Gurdjieff's book and his teachings, and it's eminently practical to us. I see it in a sense similar, but not exactly the same as Zen Buddhism, as mindfulness. Self-remembering is in a sense a deeper, I would say a deeper state of mindfulness, because we're bringing this dual attention, this awareness on I, the observer, and the phenomenon being observed. And so in essence, we have to bring all of this into our daily lives to cease being a machine, to wake up and to make efforts to progress and raise our awareness. And this section of chapter 7, like I said, you can go and watch me read it. The live audio ebook gives a great instruction manual as to how we can progress. Ouspensky shares his experiences. Some other members of the group share their experiences. And this concept is so powerful that we need to try and bring an intention into our daily lives and to practice this more and more regularly, because it's something that's available to us at all times. At any moment, one can be asleep, or one can be self-remembering. One can be acting automatically, or one can be in self-remembering, alive, alive and aware of much more that's going on, rather than in their mind and emotions and asleep, as Gurdjieff would say. So I wanted to share this video with you, and thanks for everyone who's enjoying the commentaries and the study of the text, because you guys in the chapter 8 that we read, you helped me to overcome some of the frictions and resistance that I feel myself to make these videos, so thank you. And also, if you're new here, we're studying the text of In Search of the Miraculous. We're up to chapter 8, and I'll link that in the description. You can go back and listen to all of those chapters, and I'd highly recommend going through them regularly to deepen our understanding. And there's also a commentary playlist where I make videos like this, speaking about the concepts, bringing a few quotes and maybe expanding a bit upon them. There's been many helpful questions over the time. So if you have any questions, be sure to get them in the comments. Any bits that you'd like me to expand on, any passages that do a video like this, you can, there's so much to get out of just one paragraph, one section, even one sentence. We can ponder it and contemplate it, and it can really affect us profoundly. And to end, for those of you who are still here, who are interested in these ideas, I want to share with you an affirmation, a prayer, a mantra that Gurdjieff shared, and I can't remember which book I found it in, but over the years it affected me profoundly, and it's something that we can bring in to our practice, our work, our efforts, and it's in the form, like I say, of a prayer, a mantra, an affirmation, and it's simply, I wish to remember myself. Simple but effective.